The New York Rangers just had an absolutely terrible performance against the Calgary Flames the other night. So in today's video, we're going to talk about whether or not the Rangers should ultimately decide to fire head coach Peter Laviolette and the rest of this coaching staff, as there have been some up and down moments this season, but for the most part, there have been a lot of low moments and a lot of bad hockey from this team. So we're going to kind of talk about whether or not he should be fired, because I think something has to change. And we're starting to see some of the change with this roster by getting rid of a guy like Barclay Goodrow way earlier this offseason. Then you see the Jacob Trouba trade, the Kakko trade. You see Hita go out the door for JT Miller. You see Lindgren get traded away, VC go out the door. You see like Carson Soucy, Juuso Parson, Calvin DeHaan get traded to the Rangers. And we've also seen quite a few different young guys come up here as well, like Brett Berard, Brendan Othman. They've got some time up in the NHL this season. So we have definitely seen quite a bit of kind of change with this roster, or at least attempted change throughout this season so far. And I think going into this upcoming offseason, we're probably going to see, hopefully, a lot more change. And one of those big possible kind of changes could be firing this coaching staff and Peter Laviolette. And by no means is all the blame to be put on a guy like Laviolette. It's not all his fault. I mean, some of the players still have to get the job done. But at some point here, we need to see a change in coaching staff with the way these guys are playing. And I talked about it in the past where I do put a decent amount of the blame on a guy like Chris Drury, because he has kind of left this core roster the exact same that we have seen for quite a few years now. And has it worked? No. And has he finally decided to make some kind of big changes here? Yes, but he's finally decided to do it mid-season. I was expecting this past offseason that Chris Drury will go out there and try and make some pretty big changes with this roster, because we have seen in the past there this team make it to 2 different conference finals, but we know why they got there, and that was the main fact being Igor Shesterkin and him kind of carrying this team along. And I actually have really liked some of the moves that Chris Drury has made this season so far, by waiving a guy like Barclay Goodrow and obviously getting off him for nothing. That was a fantastic move there. I can't believe that happened. Then you get off a contract like the Jacob Trouba one for nothing, and you get back Urho Vakanainen, who a solid bottom pairing guy, a solid depth defenseman. And you also get back a draft pick as well, which I think was kind of shocking. And then you also end up making a nice trade there for JT Miller. I think that was a good one. You got back some decent value for Ryan Lindgren. You got back some decent value for Riley Smith. Wasn't the best overall trade, especially when you do consider this team gave up a second and a fifth this past offseason. But it wasn't the worst trade in the world, and Carson Soucy hasn't worked out great so far, but I am hopeful that he's going to play better at some point, because he's coming to a brand new team there, a new defensive system, so I'm kind of hopeful that he will turn things around there and get back on track. So I'm not completely out on Soucy yet, but I just kind of saying here, most of the moves that were made, I think, were pretty solid. The Kakko one, still a little questionable. I think Borgen's been solid there. Couple draft picks as well was nice, but obviously I didn't love that trade initially. I like it a little more now after he got signed and has played quite good, but we'll see what happens there with that. But some of the moves I think have been really good. Some have been questionable in the past, but as of late, Chris Drury has started to make some really nice trades, I think. And that's the kind of the step in the right direction there. There is some change now. We have seen definitely some change. I think this upcoming offseason we need to see more. Trading away a guy like Chris Kreider, Keandre Miller possibly, those 2 guys going out the door. Maybe we do see them possibly get traded away and see some different stuff come back in return. Maybe Lafreniere gets traded away. I think we're going to see hopefully some more big changes this offseason, but I do think changing up some of this coaching staff might not be a bad idea. And a guy like Phil Housley, the defense coach, I think no matter what, is an absolute must fire. I don't think many Rangers fans are going to disagree with me on that. I think he absolutely has to be fired. Just defensive play just has not been good enough from this team. So I think he's an absolute must fire, even if Laviolette is going to stay. There have been some other kind of decent coaches. Michael Pekka, I think, has made some impact at moments, but the power play has also been trashed this season, which is really disappointing compared to where it's been at in past seasons there. Normally, this team is at least like top 7 or so, top 5 on the power play. So seeing it this bad this season is really disappointing. So I think we need to see some coaching changes no matter what. Is Laviolette going to get fired? I'm kind of leaning towards yes at this point with the way things are going. And if they also play like they did against the Calgary Flames going forward throughout the rest of this season, then I definitely think we're going to see a coaching change for sure. And let me know in the comments if I'm wrong here on this, but I think that Calgary game was an absolutely embarrassing performance by the New York Rangers. When you consider this team is right in the mix for a playoff spot, they're right there for the wild card, and they put out an absolute dud of a performance. You get outshot 35-13 at home there. Your fans are booing you off the ice there at the end of the game. The last few minutes, whatever, the Rangers fans started booing there. I mean, it was an absolute terrible performance there. The slot shots were 20-4 for Calgary, which just an absolute joke there. I mean, it was just an absolutely brutal performance. You take a look at some of like the scoring chances there, the high danger ones. The Rangers ended up having a total of 1 high danger shot attempt, 4 medium danger shot attempts, and then 30 low danger shot attempts. And you take a look at what Calgary had. This is an away game as well, and they're also coming off a back-to-back. That is another thing as well. Calgary is coming off a back-to-back game. The Rangers had another day there of rest, so there's just another kind of factor there to it, and the Rangers are also playing a team who were on a 3-game losing streak. The last 3 games the Flames played, it was a 6-2 loss to the Maple Leafs there, a 4-2 loss to the Avalanche, and a 4-3 shootout loss to the Canucks. But taking a look at the kind of scoring chances there for the Calgary Flames, they ended up having a total of 4 high danger shot attempts compared to the Rangers 1. They ended up having a total of 7 medium danger shot attempts compared to the Rangers 4, and they had 35 low danger shot attempts compared to the Rangers 30. So pretty massive difference there. You also take a look, a guy like Igor Shesterkin in net there ended up having, I believe, 1.22 goals saved above expected, which is really not bad at all, and obviously kind of says how the Rangers did not help him out much in this game. I think Igor made a lot of great stops there. You definitely cannot blame this one on him. I think Igor, as of late, has definitely started to look really good, kind of get back into form now, which this is the time you want to see your kind of star goalie get into form, obviously, but now the rest of the team here is starting to fall off, which it really is disappointing. We did see Artemi Panarin extend his point streak now to 10 games, so there's that, I guess, but everything else just sucked about this game. There was really just an awful performance by this team. You get out to a 1-0 lead, and you just fall off a cliff there, and this is a part to do with the coaching staff, absolutely. It's a part to do with the players. There's a lot of blame to be passed around here. It's not just kind of one guy or one coach or one kind of general manager here. There's a lot of blame to be passed around here. And at the end of the day, I would definitely say we need to see a lot more change this upcoming offseason, and it could very well start by firing Peter Laviolette. We've definitely seen this team take a pretty major step back from last regular season there being the President, trophy winners there, obviously, which was pretty fantastic. Not the most important thing to win in the world, obviously, but the team still finished with the best record in the entire NHL, meaning they did something right in the regular season, but then come playoff time, they still had a good run. Obviously got there mainly because of Igor and some other players as well who did pretty good, but mainly Igor there really showing up. And, we have seen some kind of good things this year. I mean, Will Cooley is a guy who I think's taken some major steps forward, but there's also been quite a few bad things there and a lot more bad things and a lot more players who have either just dropped off a little bit or a lot this season. So I think there definitely needs to be a lot more big change, and getting a new face in there to be the head coach, I definitely think could make a lot of sense. And if the Rangers do want to go after a coach like Peter Laviolette, who is that kind of veteran coach there, who has a ton of experience, who's coached for a long time, has, won a cup, has taken 3 different teams to the cup final there, who's also won a Calder Cup in the AHL, it's going to be tough to find a guy like that with that many achievements and that much success and experience at the NHL level and even the AHL. But maybe this team should go in a different direction there. Maybe go with a younger coach who's a bit less experienced. Obviously, the Rangers went with David Quinn a while ago, and that didn't work out the greatest, although that was around the rebuild time, but he obviously hasn't been the greatest coach since. But either way there, they could go with the younger face there. A guy like Spencer Carberry was a little bit rumored to the Rangers there when they were looking for their coach before they hired Peter Laviolette. He's obviously done a phenomenal job as a first-time head coach with the Washington Capitals, and a guy like David Carl, his name's been kind of floating around there a little bit there, the U.S. World Juniors coach there, also the head coach of the University of Denver, a great program there. He has done a phenomenal job with them. He is kind of seen as the kind of by far, I would say, kind of top coaching prospect in hockey right now. He's kind of that, young guy who seems to be that kind of high-tier coaching prospect. So we'll see if he's ready to take that jump or not. It does seem like, from what he's kind of said, that maybe he's looking for the perfect opportunity. So maybe he kind of waits there and kind of doesn't choose the Rangers job, which might not be what he's kind of looking for there, as there'd be a lot of pressure on him for sure to kind of get something done. So we'll see what happens this upcoming offseason, but I do think firing head coach Peter Laviolette and the rest of this coaching staff is definitely seeming like a more realistic kind of possibility as the games go on here and this team continues to just not play some great hockey at moments. I mean, that Calgary Flames game was an absolute embarrassing performance by this team. So if they don't turn things around, at least play some better hockey, we very well could end up seeing a new head coach signed this upcoming offseason. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts. Do you want to see Peter Laviolette fired? Do you want to see a guy like maybe David Carl hired? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are there any other kind of head coaches you have in mind that could be a nice fit for this team? Let me know your thoughts on this Rangers team as a whole. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.